A very good morning to everyone. And today, I want to begin with saying that a day without intention is like a ship without direction. And tell me if this sounds familiar. You can, of course, show by raise of hands that your alarm goes off, you reach for your phone, not because you plan to, just because it's there, on the bedside. You check WhatsApp, then news, then Instagram, and someone you went to school with has apparently been to Bali. And someone else's child has won a medal. Your phone has already told you three things to feel anxious about, two things to feel inadequate about, and one forward from a relative that begins with the words, very important, please read. And all of this happens before you have even brushed your teeth. So, by the time most of us are fully awake, the world has already written the first chapter of our day for us. We didn't choose the tone, we didn't choose the mood. We just walked in and spent the rest of the day reacting. So, what if there was another way? What if the most powerful thing you could do before the noise, before the notifications, before anyone or anything claims your attention was to simply decide who you want to be today? And that is what we are exploring today. Living with intention every morning. So here's something worth understanding about mornings. The first 20 to 30 minutes after you wake up are neurologically special. Your brain is in a highly suggestible state, calm, unhurried, not yet cluttered with the day's demands, and scientists call it the hypnopompic state. And I call it the only quiet room in the house before everyone wakes up. So, whatever you put into that window shapes the rest of your day. Feed it panic, and you'll spend the day in defense mode. Feed it comparison, and you'll spend the day feeling insufficient. But feed it intention, even just a small, quiet, deliberate intention, and something remarkable happens. You stop being a passenger on your own day and you become the driver. A ship without a destination doesn't just drift slowly, it drifts confidently in completely the wrong direction. The same is true for a day that starts without direction. So it doesn't feel aimless, it feels busy, exhaustingly, unproductively busy. So you cannot lead your day if your day has already led you out the door. So let's meet Divya. She's a school principal in Chandigarh, responsible for 500 children, 60 staff members, 300 anxious parents, and one ancient photocopier that jams only during important events. I'm sure Usha ji can relate with this. So everything always happens the last minute. So 2 years ago, her mornings looked like organized chaos. Up at 5:30, lunches, uniforms, school bag checks, tiffin arguments, dropping the kids, and arriving at work already depleted before a single meeting had begun. And then someone suggested she try something so small, it seemed almost insulting. And what was that? Give herself 10 minutes before anyone else's needs began. Just 10. So Divya started waking up at 5:20 instead of 5:30. She sits at the kitchen table with a chai before it gets reheated 4 times, and she writes 2 lines in a small notebook. That's all. 2 lines. Today, I'll focus on staying patient during difficult conversations. Today, I will embody calm even when the day isn't. So she told me something that stayed with me. She said, I used to walk into school feeling like the day was already happening to me. And now I walk in feeling like I chose to be here. So nothing about her workload changed. The photocopier still jams, but Divya changed. She walks differently now, and her staff notices, and her students notice. And it all began with 10 minutes and 2 lines. So now I want to speak to the homemakers in the room. And I want to say this clearly. Your mornings are often the most thankless in the entire household. Yeah. You're the first one up and the last one to sit down. You are the person who ensures that everyone else starts their day smoothly, which means your morning is spent in service of everyone else's mornings. And by the time the house empties out, that is, the children are gone, the husband is on his commute, and the in laws are settled with their chai, you finally sit down. And quite often, you don't know what to do with the quiet because quiet has become unfamiliar. So let's meet Jyoti. She's a homemaker in Mysore, mother of two teenagers, daughter in law in a joint family. And for years, her mornings began with a list. And of course, it was not her list, everyone else's list. What needs to be cooked, packed, arranged, remembered, and done. So one day, her younger daughter asked her, Amma, what do you like to do in the mornings? Jyoti had no answer. She had to think, really think. See, the busiest person in the house is thinking what to do. So eventually, she remembered, oh, she used to love drawing. As a girl, of course, flowers mostly. She hadn't drawn anything in 11 years. So she bought a small sketchbook. And every morning, after the first wave of breakfast is done, and before the second wave of demand begins, she draws one flower. Just one. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes 15. She says it sounds small, but it isn't. Because in those few minutes, she's not somebody's mother or daughter in law or cook or reminder service. She's simply Jyoti. And Jyoti, turns out, still has a lot she wants to create. So, an intentional morning is not a luxury. For a woman who gives all day, it is the quiet act of refilling herself so she has something left to give. And now, a word for the men, specifically for those who already have a morning routine and are feeling quietly smug about it. So, I'm talking about the morning scroll, the news binge, the fantasy cricket update, the checking of three different stock apps before 7 a.m. while standing at the kitchen counter in yesterday's t shirt. Or maybe you can say having tea with your spouse. And that is a routine, but it is not an intention. There is a difference. So let's meet Harish. He's 44-year-old architect in Ahmedabad. Sharp, capable, someone who manages complex projects with ease. But for years, his mornings were reactive. News made him anxious. Traffic made him irritable. And by the time he reached office, he was already carrying invisible weight. Worry, comparison, low-grade frustration he couldn't quite name. And his wife gently suggested twice. He ignored it. The third time, he listened. And I'm sure he survived the third time. Listening to wife, not for the first time, is really tragic. Anyways, but then he tried a morning intention practice. Hari started asking himself one question every morning while drinking his chai. What kind of a person do I want to be today? Not one, or not the one that what do I need to do, but who do I want to be? Some days the answer was patient, some days present, some days brave enough to have the difficult conversation I've been avoiding for 3 weeks. And slowly, almost without noticing, his days began to have a shape, not because less happened, but because he was no longer simply responding to whatever came. He was leading. So his team noticed, his clients noticed, his wife, who had suggested this twice before he listened, noticed. She graciously did not say, I told you so. But anyway, so you know, let's do this exercise today. 2 lines of every morning, right? So please take out your pen and paper. And starting today morning, before the phone, before the news, before the world gets a word in, write just 2 lines. Yes. You can write them in a notebook, notes app, back of a receipt, anywhere. The medium doesn't matter, the intention does. So, line one, today I will focus on and complete the sentence. I repeat, today I will focus on, and you have to complete it. It can be a task, some quality, some person, a commitment. It's your choice, right? So you can focus on your wife, you can focus on your husband, you can focus any of your friend, you can focus on your etc etc, right? So line one. Line two, today I will embody and then complete the sentence. Now that can be calm, it can be courage. Of course, he was not listening to his wife for the very first time, so he definitely needed courage. So he should be listening the very first time, patience, it can be kindness, anything. Choose one. That's it. 2 lines. Perhaps 90 seconds of your morning. So do it for 7 days and notice what shifts. So right now, take a moment to write tomorrow's 2 lines. Yes. So I'm giving you some time to complete that sentence. Please do it. And we have to do this activity for the next 7 days on a daily basis. Let's take control of your actions, take control of your intention, set the intention, and take control of your day. There's a beautiful practice in Japan and Japanese culture called ikigai. The reason you get up in the morning, your reason for being, yes. But there's a quieter companion to it that I love even more, the concept of asano kokoro, the morning heart. The idea that who you are in the morning, the quality of your attention, the softness of your presence, the direction you set for yourself before the world begins, that is the truest version of you, not the version under pressure, not the version performing, the morning version, the one not yet bruised by the day. And here's the gift of intention, it protects that version of you, it gives her or him a compass to carry. So that when the day gets hard, when the unexpected arrives, when someone is demanding, or the news is frightening, or the traffic is unreasonable, you have something to come back to. Not a perfect plan, not a rigid schedule, just a quiet anchor. So, this is who I chose to be today. So, every morning is a blank page. Intention is the first word you write, and it changes the whole story. So your call to action is the simplest one we have had yet. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, write your 2 lines. That today I will focus on complete. Today I'll embody, complete it. Not for anyone to see, not to be productive or impressive or optimized. They're just for you, for your own self. Just to remind yourself at the very beginning of the day that you're not a passenger. You are the captain. You are the leader. And every morning, the ship is yours to steer. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.